soft, haunting narration tone, pacing deliberate and reflective. Night falls over the city like spilled ink. Elena Miles stands at her easel, a cup of tea gone cold beside her. The radio whispering rain forecasts she barely hears. Her brush trembles, dragging color across canvas, until it stops. The image she's painting isn't hers anymore. A bridge, a woman running, a scream swallowed by wind, the smell of iron and rain. She blinks hard, but the vision doesn't fade. The colors twist, become motion, sound, terror. A flash of red sneakers, a shadow behind her. Then, silence. The world returns in fragments. The painting before her now shows something impossible. A crime not yet committed. Somewhere in the dark, a stranger gasps his last breath. And Elena, shaking, realizes she's seen it happen before it ever did. The next morning arrives too quietly. Elena Miles, 34, sits at her kitchen table, graphite smudged on her fingertips, trying to remember the face from her dream. The world feels colder, like the air itself is waiting for something. She sketches in silence, her lines precise, desperate, each stroke bringing back the rhythm of the rain, the gasp of the unseen victim. She doesn't want to finish, but her hand keeps moving on its own, as if guided. The outline of the bridge returns, the woman's silhouette, the shadow behind her. Then, almost against her will, Elena draws the killer's eyes, lifeless, deliberate, watching her. The pencil snaps. She looks down at the page, realizing she's drawn something she couldn't possibly know. And yet, it feels like remembering. Elena stares at her phone, the police number glowing back at her. She rehearses the words she'll say. I saw a murder before it happened. But each time she tries, her voice dies in her throat. When she finally calls, the line clicks. Her breath sinks with the static hum. She explains what she saw, how she drew it, how it feels real. A pause. Then the weary voice of a dispatcher promises to log the report. That's all. She hangs up, shame flushing her face. But even as she drops the phone, the sound of rain outside deepens. Steady, rhythmic. Like a heartbeat she can't escape. Somewhere she feels the story is already moving without her. Detective Liam Cross, 42, doesn't believe in prophecy, but he believes in patterns. And something about the woman's message lingers. Her words replay in his head as he drives through the fog-choked streets toward the station. A bridge. Red sneakers. A scream. He's heard stranger things in 20 years, yet this one gnaws at him. The city outside is washed gray, the kind of colorless morning only cops and ghosts share. He parks, lights a cigarette he won't finish, and studies the old case file. The one about a missing girl from last winter. The bridge photo inside looks identical to the one the woman described. Coincidence, maybe. But when he closes the folder, he sees a smudge of graphite on the back cover. It looks like a fingerprint. It looks like hers. By nightfall, Elena can't stop painting. It isn't choice anymore. It's compulsion. Each brushstroke feels like a pulse from something beyond her, guiding her hand toward truth. She paints the bridge again, the water, the mist. But now there's something new. The faint outline of a police badge reflected in the puddle beneath the victim's feet. Her heart races. She doesn't know Detective Cross' name, but somehow she's already seen him. The realization tears through her. Her visions are expanding, linking her to others, weaving her into a story she hasn't yet lived. The paint thickens, glistening under lamplight, like blood refusing to dry. Elena Miles, 34, clutches the sketch in both hands as she stands in the gray corridors of the precinct. She feels absurd being there, paint on her sleeves, hair unbrushed, holding drawings like confession. Detective Liam Cross studies her from behind his desk, suspicion softening into curiosity. Her voice wavers as she explains what she saw, what she painted, what later came true. Cross flips open the folder of last night's crime. Same bridge, same woman, same red sneakers. The air thickens. For a long moment, neither speaks. Then slowly he says, "How did you know?" Her answer is a whisper she doesn't fully believe. "I didn't. It just happened." Hours later, Cross brings Elena to the real place, the bridge she drew before it happened. Police tape flutters like tired flags in the wind. Rain spits from a slate sky, the city skyline dissolving into haze. She walks carefully, her boots echoing against the wet metal grating, eyes scanning every line, every curve that her vision had already captured. It's perfect, terrifyingly perfect. Even the crack in the railing matches her sketch. Cross watches her quietly, the cynicism fading from his face. "You were here," he murmurs. Elena shakes her head. "No, I wasn't." The wind rises, carrying with it the faint, metallic tang of memory. Somewhere beneath the bridge, water churns, cold, relentless, carrying secrets downstream. Inside the precinct, Cross replays security footage from a nearby camera. Static blurs the edges, rain masking motion. But as the frames clear, Elena leans forward. "There," she whispers. The figure she'd drawn, the same hooded silhouette, appears briefly at the frame's edge. Cross freezes the image, a faint tattoo on the wrist, a symbol, like a serpent swallowing its tail. It hadn't been in her vision, not until now. Elena feels her pulse quicken. "I didn't see that," she murmurs. "Not before." Cross looks at her, eyes narrowing. "Then maybe you're not seeing the future," he says quietly. "Maybe the future is starting to see you." That night, Elena can't sleep. The tattoo burns in her mind like a brand. She sketches compulsively again, line after line, searching for meaning. Each page becomes a map of chaos, bridges, faces, rain, and now the serpent symbol. She pins them to her studio wall until the room becomes a shrine of prophecy and madness. When Cross knocks at her door, she almost doesn't answer. He steps inside, stunned by what he sees. The walls are alive with drawings, overlapping like whispers of the same nightmare. In the center, one sketch stands out. A woman she hasn't drawn before, her face blurred, her shoes red. Cross studies the newest sketch, the woman with the blurred face, the red sneakers. Then quietly he exhales. "I know her." Elena freezes. "Who?" He turns the drawing toward her. Rachel Danner, 29. Works at a community center near the docks. The realization settles like thunder. Elena steps back, hands trembling. "She's next," she whispers. Cross shakes his head. "We don't know that." But they both do. The silence between them feels like a countdown, the air charged with inevitability. The storm outside intensifies, wind clawing at the windows. Elena's paintings tremble on the walls, as though alive. Somewhere in the distance, a siren wails, long, mournful, warning them both of what's coming. The storm doesn't stop for 3 days. The city drowns beneath the pulse of water and neon, reflections bleeding into streets like smeared paint. Elena Miles, 34, hasn't slept. Each time she closes her eyes, she's back on the bridge, watching it happen, helpless, over and over. Detective Liam Cross calls it residual trauma. She calls it a countdown. Outside her window, sirens slice through the downpour. Her pulse mirrors their wail. Somewhere out there, Rachel Danner walks alone, unaware that someone has already chosen her. Elena grips her phone, fingers shaking, torn between warning her or accepting the truth she's come to dread, that the future cannot be rewritten. Not yet. Rachel Danner, 29, doesn't know she's being watched. She locks the community center's doors, her reflection fragmented in the glass. The streets are empty, the storm pressing close like breath on her neck. She pulls her hood tight, clutching her bag, walking faster. Across the street, headlights flicker off. A figure moves in the periphery, steady, patient, unseen. Rachel feels it. That primal chill crawling up the spine that whispers run. She glances behind her. Nothing. Just rain. Just sound. But the moment she steps under the bridge, the air changes. The silence there feels wrong. Too thick. Too knowing. She takes one more step into the dark. At that exact moment, miles away, Elena's paintbrush stops midair. She gasps, her pupils contracting as her world tilts. The vision floods back, fiercer than ever. This time not as images, but sound, smell, pain. She hears Rachel's scream reverberate through her skull. Paint jars crash to the floor as Elena collapses, clutching her head, crying out. Her eyes roll upward. The bridge materializes in her mind. Rachel running, the shadow closing in. The blade flashing. Elena shouts her name. But the sound turns to thunder. The world explodes, in white. When she wakes, the painting before her is complete. A woman lying in rain, crimson blooming beneath her like spilled ink. When Detective Cross arrives at the crime scene, dawn hasn't yet broken. Police floodlights cast cold halos across the bridge, where Rachel Danner's body lies exactly as Elena described. He stands motionless, raindrops running down his face, his cigarette forgotten between his fingers. The details are too precise. The shoes, the angle of her fall, even the serpent tattoo smeared in blood near the railing. Every part of it matches Elena's sketches. Cross exhales, a tremor in his breath he can't disguise. She knew, he murmurs. Captain Mira Hodge calls his name, but he barely hears her. Somewhere in the storm, he feels it too. The future isn't coming, it's already here, playing out in front of them. By morning, Elena sits alone in her studio, staring at the finished painting. Her eyes are dry now, her voice gone. She feels both creator and witness, guilty and innocent, prophet and prisoner. When the door knocks, she already knows who it is. Cross steps inside without a word. The silence between them holds everything. The proof, the failure, the grief. He studies the painting, then her. You couldn't have known, he says softly. But she shakes her head. I did. He nods once, the faintest trace of respect in his eyes. Then quietly, almost to himself. Then maybe we can stop the next one. Elena Miles, 34, spreads photographs, sketches and newspaper clippings across her studio floor. Patterns begin to emerge, not just in her drawings, but in the women themselves, all young, all part of a small trauma support group she once volunteered for, years before the visions began. Detective Liam Cross leans over the mess, brow furrowed. You knew them, he says quietly. Elena nods, guilt rippling through her. She hadn't realized until now. Her art, her students, her past, they're all woven into the same web. The serpent tattoo from the footage glints in her mind like a brand. He's not just killing them, she whispers. He's sending me messages. They meet in a small church basement where the support group once gathered. The smell of coffee and mildew lingers. Faded posters on the walls. Red healing begins here. Elena's pulse quickens as she studies the circle of chairs. Empty now, except for the echo of memory. Cross flips through the sign-in sheets. The names blur together until one catches his eye. Jacob Varelli. The name rings in Elena's mind like a ghost. She remembers him. A volunteer counselor, quiet, observant, always too interested in pain. He was kind, she whispers, but her voice trembles. Cross shakes his head. Kind men don't carve symbols into their victims. The truth hits her like cold air. She'd trusted the killer once. That night, Elena visits the old community center alone. The air inside feels stale, untouched since the storm. Her footsteps echo across the linoleum as she walks past bulletin boards of smiling faces. Rachel's among them. A single fluorescent bulb flickers above. Then she sees it. The serpent symbol, freshly drawn on the glass of the door to her old classroom. She freezes, breath catching. He has been here. She touches the mark, and her vision snaps. Flashes of Jacob's eyes, the sound of screaming, blood dripping on tile. She stumbles backward, shaking. Somewhere in the dark, a voice whispers her name. Elena, it's him. Or her mind. Maybe both. Elena wakes in the middle of the night, heart pounding, vision blurred by sweat and memory. She's no longer 34. She's 8 again, standing in the hallway of her childhood home. The smell of iron, the sound of her mother crying, her father's voice breaking. The serpent symbol flashes on the wallpaper, burning itself into her mind. She sees a man's silhouette, a police officer comforting her after tragedy, saying she'll learn to forget. But she never did. The visions began the night her father died, and now, decades later, the same mark haunts her victims. She gasps awake, trembling, whispering into the darkness, "It started with me." At sunrise, Elena spreads new sketches across Cross' desk, the serpent symbol now central in each one. "It's not just his mark," she says. "It's a cycle." Cross studies the drawings, each victim's death aligning with the date of an old unsolved case. "He's recreating them," he murmurs. "Everyone tied to your past." She nods. "He's not chasing them. He's chasing me." Cross looks at her, voice steady. "Then we stop him before he gets there." For the first time, Elena feels control flicker in her chest. Terror wrapped around purpose. The visions aren't punishment anymore. They're a map. Time no longer moves in a straight line. For Elena Miles, 34. Every blink is a fracture. Every breath, a portal. She sketches obsessively, each drawing time-stamped with a future that may never happen. Detective Liam Cross, 42, watches her from the doorway, his disbelief eroding into awe. "You're not seeing visions anymore," he says softly. "You're tracking them," she nods, voice distant. "And they're speeding up." The sketches now show overlapping moments. A woman screaming, Cross shouting, the killer's face half revealed. When she touches the page, the ink ripples. Time bends. A gust of wind blows through the closed window, scattering the papers. One lands at her feet, still wet. The signature beneath it is not hers. They move fast now. Cross drives through the rain while Elena clutches her sketchbook, calling out landmarks as if guided by invisible strings. "Turn left," she insists. "There's an alley." She's there. Her voice trembles between faith and madness. Cross follows without question. When they stop, the alley is empty, except for a torn red shoelace hanging from a dumpster handle. Elena gasps. The air thickens. "We're early," she whispers. The rain eases into silence. For a moment, they just stand there, surrounded by nothing but dripping echoes, and the feeling that they've beaten time by seconds. But in the distance, a door slams. Someone else is still here. Back at the precinct, Cross reviews a live feed from the area, trying to catch any trace of movement. The screen flickers, distorts. Then a voice emerges from the static, faint and rasping. "Too late, Elena." Her name. The sound isn't from the recording. It's coming through it. Elena steps closer, staring at the shifting gray noise as if it's breathing. Then, for a single frame, the killer's face appears, blurred, expressionless, staring straight at her. She recoils, heart racing. Cross freezes the frame, enhancing the distortion until letters appear hidden in the noise. Next, he looks up at her, face pale. "He's talking to you." She shakes her head, whispering, "No, he's talking through me." Elena wakes again in mid-vision. Only this time she's not observing. She's there, standing under the bridge, soaked in rain, hearing footsteps behind her. She turns. Cross voice echoes through the darkness, but he's not in the scene. Her heart races, the timelines collapsing. She sees the killer raise the blade, and then, suddenly, the vision glitches. The weapon falls. The scream reverses. The woman lives. Elena gasps awake on her studio floor. For the first time, she's seen a future that changed. The realization hits her like lightning. "It can be rewritten," she whispers, "but it'll cost me." By midnight, Cross phone rings. No caller ID. A distorted male voice murmurs, "You're chasing echoes." Then silence. The next second, Elena's phone buzzes. A message. "You changed her fate. Whose will you steal next?" Cross looks at her. Her face drains of color. "He knows," she whispers. He saw it too. Outside, lightning flashes, revealing the city in momentary stark white. Cross exhales, determination cutting through fear. "Then he's watching us the same way you watch him." She nods slowly, realization dawning. Their timelines are now linked. The future isn't coming for them. It's circling. And both sides have seen the end. Elena Miles, 34, stands at the edge of the same bridge that's haunted her every dream. The night is silent, heavier than weather. She knows he's watching. He always is. Detective Liam Cross, 42, hides 2 blocks away with a small task force, rain sliding down the windshield. Her earpiece crackles once, then stills. This is her choice, her gift finally turned weapon. She steps forward, repeating the image in her mind exactly as she painted it. The light, the sound, the breath. If her vision holds true, the killer will appear in 3 minutes. If it doesn't, she'll die for nothing. She exhales, whispering to the night, "Shh. Me." From the mist, movement. Elena freezes. The sound is almost polite. Footsteps measured, deliberate. The hooded figure emerges, just as her visions promised, every detail precise except one. The eyes. They aren't lifeless. They're familiar. Jacob Varelli, 38. Her breath catches. Her mind fractures into recognition and denial. He smiles faintly. "You saw this coming," he says. "Then you know how it ends." Elena's pulse thrums in her ears. Somewhere in the fog, Cross whispers into his mic. "Hold." She forces her trembling voice steady. "Maybe you're wrong," she replies. Lightning splits the clouds overhead, freezing them in white light. Prophecy and truth suspended. Cross voice hisses in the calm. "Now." Officers surge from both ends of the bridge, flashlights cutting through vapor. Jacob spins, blade flashing silver. Elena ducks instinctively. The world becomes thunder, shouts, rain. Cross runs forward, weapon drawn, heart hammering louder than the storm. Jacob moves fast, too fast. Every motion feels rehearsed, as if he's already seen this moment too. He grabs Elena, dragging her toward the railing. "See it, Elena," he shouts. "See how it ends." Cross fires once, the shot echoing through steel and fog. Time seems to halt, suspended on the edge between death and rewrite. The bullet finds its mark, not in flesh but in choice. Jacob jerks, stumbles, loses his grip. Elena's hand catches his sleeve. just as he slips over the rail. For a heartbeat, she sees two timelines. One where she lets go, one where she saves him. The storm pauses, waiting. She hears her own voice inside her head. Rewrite it. She pulls. Jacob's eyes meet hers, wide with disbelief as she drags him back. Cross reaches them, grabbing her shoulder, helping. The blade clatters to the ground, spinning. Jacob collapses, coughing, alive. Elena trembles, rain mixing with tears. For the first time, the future didn't claim its due. For the first time, the vision broke. Hours later, the bridge is empty except for scattered evidence tape fluttering in dawn wind. Elena sits on the curb, wrapped in a blanket, silent. Cross stands beside her, cigarette unlit between his fingers. They don't speak. The quiet itself feels holy. Paramedics load Jacob into an ambulance. His eyes meet Elena's once, full of something human. Fear. Maybe awe. She looks away. The rising sun cuts through the fog, washing color back into the world. Cross finally says, "You changed it." She nods, voice hoarse. For now, the day feels fragile, like glass still cooling from fire. But she knows the heat hasn't left. 2 weeks later, the rain has stopped. The city hums again, buzzes, radios, morning chatter. But for Elena Miles, 34, everything sounds distant, like the world playing through glass. She sits in a hospital hallway outside Jacob's room, sketchbook balanced on her knees. Detective Liam Cross, 42, leans against the wall across from her, silent. She's drawn nothing since the bridge, afraid that the next image might start another chain. But the paper stays blank, and that emptiness feels almost merciful. "You could draw something else," Cross says quietly. "Something ordinary." Elena glances up, faint smile tugging her lips. "Maybe," she says. But the world doesn't let go that easily. Jacob Varelli, 38, stares at the wall of his hospital room. His wrists are cuffed to the bed, the serpent tattoo still visible through gauze. Elena enters, hesitation softening her steps. His eyes flick toward her, and for the first time he looks small, mortal. "You could have let me die," he says. She nods. "Maybe I should have." He studies her, then whispers, "You saw it coming. You changed it." "Why?" Elena breathes slowly, choosing her words. "Because I had to see if we're more than what we've done." He looks away, tears glinting. For a moment, the monster disappears, and only the man remains. Broken, aware, undone by mercy. Back in her studio, the canvases wait like old ghosts. Elena walks among them, touching each one gently before turning them face to the wall. The visions don't come anymore, not as pain, at least. They feel quieter, waiting for permission. She opens her window. The city breathes in, alive, ordinary. For the first time in months, she paints not from fear but memory. A sunrise over the same bridge, empty, clean. Each stroke feels like release, a prayer in color. Outside, Cross waits in his car, watching her silhouette through the curtain. He smiles faintly. The storm has finally passed, though neither of them believes peace will last forever. At the precinct, Detective Cross writes his final report. The pages blur together. Facts, dates, locations, but none capture what really happened. Premonition doesn't fit in the margins of a police file. Captain Mira Hodge reads in silence, then signs off without question. "You believe her now?" she asks. Cross closes the folder. "Belief doesn't matter," he replies. It happened. As he leaves, the city hums outside, alive, relentless. He steps into sunlight, lighting a cigarette he'll never smoke, and looks toward the horizon. Somewhere, he knows, Elena is painting again. For reasons he can't explain, he feels lighter, as if he's stepped out of a dream. Night returns softly. Elena sits by the window, the city glittering below like 1,000 tiny heartbeats. On her lap, a new sketchbook, blank, waiting. She closes her eyes, breath steady. Then it comes, a flash, not of death this time, but of a woman stepping off a curb into traffic. The scene flickers, vanishes. Elena opens her eyes. She knows what it means. Not a curse anymore, a calling. She tears the page free, grabs her coat, and heads into the street. Her reflection glides across wet pavement as sirens wail faintly, somewhere far away. The future hasn't stopped whispering, but now she's listening differently. Not as a witness, as a savior.